Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to be working on my BMW N52 powered 130i. Now today we're going to be swapping out all 6 of the ignition coils. Now you might be wondering why you're swapping out all of the ignition coils, and that is because the car has covered 130,000 miles. Now, am I experiencing any problems? Do I have any existing misfires? No, I don't. The car seems to be running absolutely perfectly. But I want to replace the ignition coils because when I done the rocker cover gasket job, I had to remove the ignition coils obviously, and I noticed that 5 of them still look like the original and 1 of them had actually been replaced at some point. Now typically when your car gets over 100,000 miles or so, ignition coils do like to fail, and yeah, with it being on 130,000 miles, it really is due some fresh ignition coils. I believe in replacing parts before they fail rather than waiting for them to fail. Now we're going to be swapping out the original ignition coils for some Delphi ignition coils. Now believe it or not, these are actually OEM for the N52 engine. This is what they used from factory. So, you know, you can use Bosch, you can use NGK, you can use a lot of other different brands, but these Delphi ignition coils here, these are what BMW recommend. Now then, it should be a fairly quick and easy job today, so without further ado, we'll get outside and let's get cracking. Okay then, so as you can see, we have the N52 engine here, of course, and let's get started then. So, to access the ignition coils themselves, we need to remove this engine cover, and to remove this engine cover we need to remove all of these covers, the cabin air filter box and the scuttle panel. Okay then, so first thing I like to do is remove these 2 covers here at the ends. They just lift off, he says. Yeah, nice and easy. They're just held in place by these small locating tabs, and then we can remove both of the sensors. So we have the AUC sensor this side, we'll unplug that and lift it up and move it out of the way. Then we have the hood release switch, we'll unplug that, lift this out of the way. Then we want to remove all of these cabling here from the scuttle panel. We slide this forward, it should come out nice and easily, and you may have to use a screwdriver to release this back one. There we are. That's away now, and then it should just be a case of removing the 8mm screws. You don't need to remove these 2 at the front here. There should be 1 on either side, and there should be 4 on the back, but I do actually have a few missing, so I'm just going to be removing the ones that I have left on the car. And with all those 8mm screws removed, then this entire section can now be removed. Now we should be able to remove the engine cover itself. Now it does look like there is some screws in here. These are simply just for show. It's only held in by some rubber mounts. You just need to lift the cover up. There's 4 in total. There we are. Just lift the cables up out the way. And that's the engine cover now removed. And as you can see, we now have access to all 6 of the ignition coils. Now to remove the ignition coils, it's very, very easy to do. You just need to lift this tab up, remove the electrical connector, which should slide out, then simply pull the ignition coil itself straight up. And there we are, should just pop out like so. So as you can see, this is a genuine BMW one, which means that this is more than likely the original ignition coil for that cylinder. But let's go ahead and get all of the ignition coils now removed. Now as you can see, this is not an original BMW one, so this is the one that has been replaced at some point. So that is the 6 old ignition coils now removed. Now let's start installing these nice new ignition coils. Okay, so we have a problem, quite a big problem. So obviously we can see these are a different colour. Now I have checked the part number, and these are shown to be the correct part number for this car, and these are supposed to be on the car from factory. But compare them to the original. I just thought, you know, it's an updated colour or whatever, updated design. But if you have a look, the original BMW ones are actually Bosch, and the fittings themselves, there is kind of like a notch underneath the electrical connector, and it's more to the side on the original, but on the new Delphi ones it's in the middle, so it means the Delphi one does not even fit. So I guess we need to now go and source some Bosch ignition coils and then install them instead. Okay then, so as you can see, I've managed to source the correct Bosch part numbers. If you're wondering what the part number is, it is just there, 0221504 and the tab, as you can see, it is over to the left. It's kind of hard to see, it's under the connector itself. It's kind of like a notch, and on the connector, on the plug should I say, that goes into there, and it can only slot in with this exact ignition coil. So yeah, let's get on to installing these new ones then. Make sure they're all seated and all the connectors are down, which they are. And here we are then. This is the finished product. 6 new ignition coils to go with our recent new spark plugs. Let's fire this thing up and make sure we don't have any misfires. Okay then, let's get all these covers reinstalled so we can wrap this job up. So as you can see then, everything is now back together. Let's take this thing for a test drive. Okay then guys, so just got back from a test drive, and to be honest, like, I never really had any issues before, I never had any misfires or anything, but yeah, the car feel was spot on now, and in terms of ignition coils, I should be good for what, another 100,000 miles or so they usually last. And yeah, I mean, it was a bit annoying the fact that I bought some Delphi ones and it turns out that I actually needed Bosch ones. And the reason that I bought the Delphi ones was because I checked on Real OEM, which, if you have no idea what that is, it basically displays all of the exact part numbers for your car. So I put all my details in, and yeah, it said I needed those exact Delphi ignition coils, and then I removed them and it wasn't to be the case. So yeah, that's pretty annoying, but all is not to be lost. I will be using those ignition coils because luckily they do fit my BMW 760 Li. Obviously that has 12 cylinders because it is a V12, so I will need to purchase an additional 6 to go on that. But yeah, we got the correct ignition coils in the end, and yeah, we're getting one step closer to getting this engine complete really. I think next up we're going to be attempting the, well, not attempting, we're going to be doing the water pump and thermostat, which I'm led to believe is a pretty involved job. But yeah, I know that I have an existing leak from the water pump area, so we are going to be tackling that next, I think. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you all in that next one. Peace!